Good morning, family. This is Damian Wilson coming to you with another Science of the Times message. Basically, this is an article from LiveScience.com, showing you that at this present point in time in history, you should not be eating blood foods, which is, it says that this human meat is grown in the lab, and this human meat is basically the steaks that look like steaks and stuff. You blood sacrificing. So you gotta repent and come up out of that, and get back to natural foods, plant-based foods, lettuce, kale, cauliflower, things like that, broccoli, fruits and stuff. But this blood food stuff is serious. But I'm gonna just get into this article. The title of this article is "Would you eat human meat grown in the lab?" If you were told this beef was lab-grown human meat, would it look more or less appealing? Richard Dawkins wants to know if lab-grown meat will eradicate the taboo against cannibalism. In a tweet on March 3rd, the outspoken evolutionary biologist linked to an article about the possible commercialization of meat grown in the laboratory by the end of 2018. Dawkins was practically drooling, but it wasn't over the food. "I've long been looking forward to this," he wrote. "What if human meat is grown? Could we overcome our taboo against cannibalism?" Because that's where they come from. They come from the mountains and the caves. In cold weather, you cannot grow plant-based foods and natural foods in the cold. Only thing you can do is stab something, hunt animals and things like that, eat blood foods. But I'm gonna read the rest of this article and give you a reason why you should stop eating blood foods at this present time. Because basically, you're gonna become part of the food chain. And you know what the food chain is about. But continuing on, lab-grown meat, he continued, would be an interesting test case, pitting consequentialist morality against yuck reaction absolutism. In other words, lab-grown human meat might be ethical in the sense that no one experiences any bad consequences, no killing, no desecrating corpses, but humans might still instinctually recoil at the idea of eating it. Dawkins' question isn't a new one. Through research suggests that getting people to eat lab-grown meat at all might be a challenge, and that the market for lab-grown human meat would probably be vanishingly small. You'll hear trend pieces. Kids today are eating their friends, predicted Owen Schaefer, a professor at the Center of Biomedical Ethics at the National University of Singapore. But in reality, he says synthetic human meat eating is going to be extremely rare. But as we know, and the people in the know that the elites came out with the elites themselves came out and said, a lot of the kidnapped children across America and across the world as a whole, they kill them, they blood sacrifice them, and they drain the blood from them and throw the bloodless bodies to the meat houses and the slaughterhouses. We put it to McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and a lot of fast food restaurants. Meat in a petri dish. Lab meat, also known as in vitro meat or clean meat, is grown from just a few stem cells taken from a living animal. The first lab-grown meat was consumed in 2013 at a news conference in London. It was a burger made by Mark Post, a pharmacologist at Maastricht University in the Netherlands, and two tasters reported that it was a bit dry. So, family that's out in the Netherlands and Europe, be safe, be careful what you eat and what you put into your body. You should be eating natural plant-based foods. But continuing on. In general, people are kind of grossed out about any sort of meat grown in the lab. Researchers have found a survey of potential lab meat customers in the United States, published last year in the journal PLOS1, found that 2/3 of people would be willing to try the stuff, but only 1/3 could see themselves eating it regularly. On average, people see clean meat as more ethical and environmental than farm meat, but less natural, tasty, and appealing, said study co-author Matai Wicks, a doctoral student in physiology at the University of Queensland, Australia. Only 60% of respondents to Wicks' survey said they'd eat lab-grown meat if it were more expensive than typical meat, suggesting that people generally don't put too much monetary value on the ethical and environmental benefits of the product. That study found a very small number of people who reported that they'd be more willing to eat meat from animals like dogs, horses, and cats.
Take a picture. I don't know. Shit, you tell me. Look, I look like chicken. Come on, come on. Look at that. This is what they sold me. I look like chicken. They said it was fresh. It ain't chicken. This is what I'm saying. You know that Chinese and that dog. You don't know, Rasta. I'm telling everybody, these people are wicked. They not selling chicken. They sell you food they don't eat. How you accept that? They wicked.
And as you can see in that video, they basically feeding people cats and rats and stuff at these these establishments that are located in the ghettos and the slums. These Chinese restaurants, things like that. Maybe even a poppy store, because horse meat is getting used as well too. And one of the people that I work with, he said he'd rather eat cat and dog, and I was just like, that's crazy. But continuing on, if that meat were grown in the lab, but the numbers were so small, they wouldn't be noticeable if scaled up to the whole population of consumers. Weeks told Live Science. What's more, she noted, the study found that vegetarians who already didn't eat meat were among the least likely to say they start eating meat if it were lab grown. Similarly, people who don't see the appeal of cannibalism aren't likely to change their minds just because the meat was never part of a living person, she said. I cannot imagine what people who don't want to eat human meat now would suddenly feel motivated to eat human meat when produced via cellular agriculture, Weeks said. But a lot of things going on. The government was preparing themselves for this type of cannibalism, zombie outbreak epidemic. With they did a live drill where people put costumes on and put makeup on as zombies, and they had a little stage set up where there's barriers and barricades and things like that. And the soldiers and the military people that was doing it, they basically was like shooting them and stuff, training and stuff. And then a little bit after that, they showed a truck, a flatbed, all black flatbed truck that said zombie control on it. So they preparing for what they're gonna do to a lot of people that's eating blood foods. But continuing on, is lab meat cannibalism ethical? Still, there are almost certainly going to be a few people who want to try synthetic human meat, Schaefer said, including performance artists who might want to serve a derivative of themselves to make a statement, or celebrities who might want to cash in by selling their fans the opportunity to taste their flesh. You're going to get some people out there that will do it, he said. The question is, should we object to that? Should we ban people from synthesizing human flesh into something consumable? In 2014 paper in the Journal of Applied Philosophy, Schaefer and his co-author Julian Scoville, excuse me if I said it wrong, tried to work through the ethics of eating lab-grown human meat. They couldn't find any convincing philosophical arguments to call it unethical, Schaefer said. In his tweet, Dawkins mentioned consequentialism, which is the idea that the ends justify the means. In that sense, no one is directly harmed by lab-grown cannibalism because no one has to die and has no one's corpse get desecrated. But think about this though, fam. If they creating this meat via cellular agriculture, they gotta take different parts of animals and things like that to put it into one to make the packaging complete in a whole product. So, things like that, changing your blood over to demonic fallen entity parasitical DNA. But continuing on, nor there was a good deontological deontological argument against the practice, Schaefer said. In philosophy, deontology is the idea that the means do matter. For example, if you can save 5 people by killing one, killing that one person may still not be the ethical thing to do. Deontological arguments are usually based in notions of disrespect for persons, but again, There doesn't seem to be anyone disrespected by eating synthetic human meat, Schaefer said. One possible argument against the cannibalism via clean meat. Excuse me, family. But continuing on. One possible argument against cannibalism via clean meat could stem from the virtue ethics, he said, the idea that humans should cultivate attitudes that are virtuous for their own sake. There you could say this is a disposition towards humanity to shift from seeing people as people. Maybe this will push us more to seeing people as me. He said, but that shift doesn't seem particularly likely, he said. So why they doing drills? So why they preparing for things like this? But continuing on. While cannibalism is fun to talk about, Schaefer said, the real question is how clean meat will change humanity's relationship with food from something that requires animal suffering to something made in a lab. If clean meat can be as tasty and safe as regular meat and be sold at cheaper prices, it will become probably widespread, he said. Post 2013 burger cost a whopping $300,000 for a blood food burger. Blood sacrifice. Gotta repent. But continuing on. But the technology is improving. Weeks agree that people will likely become more open to clean meat once it hits the grocery store shelves. Right now, I believe it is seen somewhat as a future technology. But once it's tangible, I think that will change, she said. I am optimistic that people will engage with it. Yeah, but this is another article from USA Today on blood foods, meats. But basically, that article from Live Science was from March 13th, 2018. And this title of this article is Report Human DNA Found in Hot Dogs. It's October 2015. Hot dogs are considered one of the most American foods. However, a report uncovers some startling findings on what people are really eating when they bite into a Frankfurter. Clear Foods analyzed 345 hot dogs and sausages from 75 different brands sold at 10 retailers and found that 40% had hygienic or substitution issues, according to the report. After analyzing hot dogs from 75 different brands, Clear Foods discovered human DNA in 2% of the sample studied. Substitution means when ingredients are added to the product that are not displayed on the label, and hygienic issues happen when a non-harmful contaminant is introduced to the hot dog.
The industry-wide secret butchers don't want you to know about. Major suppliers have been caught using a special product known as meat glue to stick together scraps of meat to sell as prime cuts. But while this product has been banned overseas, there's no law prohibiting its use here. Here's Rodney Lowe's with this special investigation.
It's the meat industry's dirty secret, a way of turning the scraps too small to sell as a premium steak back into a juicy, plump eye fillet to sell for a premium price. So clever, you'll never tell. Not even an expert can.
Before, you didn't even pick that as a join, though, did you?
It doesn't even tear through the joint. A bit hard to tell, isn't it?
Butcher James Faulkner runs Queensland Natural Beef Company, an organisation dedicated to using as few additives in meat from paddock to plate as possible. But tonight, he's exposing how some parts of the industry are able to trick their customers and use whatever it takes.
Yeah. I've just got some fine diced beef and my special enzyme. I'm just going to mix it up a bit.
Why have we got the masks on?
Because it's dangerous. See that? Don't breathe that in.
This powder is transglutaminase enzyme, otherwise known as meat glue. Meat glues come in a number of forms, some produced by cultivating bacteria, the others, the primary ingredient comes from the blood plasma of pigs and cattle, specifically the coagulant which causes blood to clot. In the food industry, it has amazing properties.
So just got a little bit here, about a teaspoonful.
Yep.
Just over the top like that. And with our gloves on, of course, we mix it up.
Then roll it in plastic film and refrigerate. 6 hours later, you have a solid piece of meat.
And essentially, you've got a reborn, rebirth thigh fillet.
More or less, yeah.
Ours uncooked is easy to spot the difference, but cooked is another story.
Okay, so the meat glue one is on the right, and the real McCoy is on the left.
And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish and chicken are all stuck back together using this glue.
It looks like one piece of chicken.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yep.
But hard to tell, isn't it?
Particularly that.
On the grill, it's even harder to pick.
So that's the real McCoy. Give this a burl. Nice and tender, nicely salted. All right, let's go for the meat glue. I can't tell the difference.
Pretty good, but potentially dangerous.
I've sort of got two concerns. One that is well publicised, which is misleading people. The other area is the microbial side.
It's why the European Union moved to ban meat glue in May last year. Microbiologist Glenn Pinner.
If this food is sold or represented as a solid piece of steak and you cook it rare, you're really leaving yourself open to get food poisoning.
Once you glue two pieces together, it's difficult to cook thoroughly those parts that were on the outside but are now on the inside.
The amount of bacteria on a steak that has been put together with meat glue is hundreds of times higher.
We had no idea how guarded a secret this was until we started contacting restaurateurs and butchers to ask them about the use of meat glue. Many of them didn't want to speak for fear of upsetting their suppliers, creating bad blood in an industry that has become very clever at using this product. Are you just shaking your head?
A little bit. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
This cube roll we bought from a wholesaler that produces stuck-together steaks en masse. Their effort's so good, James, our butcher, couldn't tell even when it was raw. It's even harder in the restaurant, which are some of the biggest users of glued meat. And chances are, unless you're a vegetarian, you're eating it on a regular basis. But with current labelling laws, neither butchers nor your local eatery have to tell you you're eating chicken glued together with cow's blood or beef held together by pig. It's the same reason they can take low-grade meat and pump it with water and flavour to make it edible.
Okay, so just after about a minute or two, we've got quite a lot of moisture out of there. And we've lost almost half a kilo.
Then the practice of selling mutton as lamb and old cow as prime cut beef. Like this, so old, a meat grader said it was only good for pet mince.
You've got yellow fat colour, really dark meat colour. It's definitely off a really old type of animal.
In New South Wales, new labelling regulations have just been introduced to help consumers choose quality meat, but it's not compulsory. So for most of us, picking a quality piece of meat is still a shot in the dark.
Basically like a filler, like like them little cheap dollar store nuggets. You see that little yellow meat and stuff. That's like a filler. That's basically what it is to make the product a whole complete product. It could be sold as a complete packaged product. But continuing on, the online food, which used genomic technology to examine foods by ingredients, found human DNA in 2% of the samples. 2/3 of the human DNA samples were vegetarian, according to Clear Food. However, Janet Riley, president of the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, said Clear Food has said very little about its sample collection procedure. It's entirely possible that the human DNA found could be linked back to the company's own staff. Riley said in a statement on Thursday, likewise, when they suggest that some products show the presence of another species, like chicken in a beef product, this could also be from the single cell and even result from, very practice of pulling samples from multiple packages in the same room as the company may have done. The National Hot Dog and Sausage Council has attempted to reach Clear Food multiple times for further explanation on the report, according to Riley. Initial attempts by USA Today Network to reach out to the company independently have proved unsuccessful. So they know what they're doing, but they're not gonna tell the population. They're not gonna tell the average Joe. So family, just be careful what you eat. Watch what your children eat. Stop trying to take them to these fast food restaurants, feeding them this blood food. As you can see, it's human DNA in hot dogs, and they trying to make lab-grown human meat. So what you think is in the meat out here now? Cats, dogs, horses. So just watch over what you put in your body, fam. Just try to eat natural. Try to eat more plant-based green foods. Try to get more natural elixirs like honey, things like that, colloidal silver, things like that. But just try to eat more healthier, fam. But continuing on. Hot dogs, bacon, and processed meats linked to cancer. Other findings include 10% of vegetarian products contain meat. Samples showed chicken, beef, turkey, and lamb were found in products that were not supposed to have those ingredients. 67% of hygienic problems found in the report were from vegetarian products. As Clear Food also finds, there are a number of hot dog manufacturers, large and small, that are producing high-quality hot dogs with integrity. Butterball, McCormick, Eckrich, and Hebrew National received the top scores for quality hot dogs among major brands, and Gardein topped the specialty and regional hot dog list. Report comes amid unrelated research released by the WHO, World Health Organization, on Monday that finds eating hot dogs, ham, and other processed meat can cause colorectal cancer. Basically, the first stage of that is the mucus. Which if you keep eating that stuff, it blocks up your arteries and clogs up the ecosystem inside your body, and it slows it down and doesn't allow it to function at its natural vibratory rate. That's why it's best to eat natural foods. It raises your vibration. It cleans out your system way better. Eat a cheesesteak or something like that. You don't go to the bathroom till like days after. You eat a salad or something and run right through you. Get that bad stuff out of you. But continuing on, just like mucus is like the first stage of cancer though. Like the first right before the cancer develops. But continuing on, according to a report from the research division of WHO, processed meats cause cancer and red meat likely does too. But that's all I have for y'all today right now, fam. Signs of the times signing out. Be safe, family. Try to stay away from these blood foods, especially at this point in time. You're putting human meat inside the meat. You blood sacrificing. And, you agents, you gang stalkers, you keep doing what you're doing. We gonna keep doing what we doing, speaking truth, speaking realness. You sold out, so you already chose your side right now. It's only one master you can serve. You can't serve two masters. But continuing on. Signs of the times, family. Be safe. Love y'all. Stay aware to be alive.